In this video, we'll explore 7 fascinating Amish traditions that help streamline daily routines, reduce expenses, and strengthen community ties. Let's take a closer look at how these rules guide a lifestyle that remains surprisingly practical and might inspire a few cost-cutting ideas for the rest of us. Number 1. Observing a weekly day of rest. Amish communities are known for their unwavering commitment to a Sunday rest tradition, a practice that accomplishes more than simply attending church. By designating a specific day each week for worship, family time, and minimal labor, they preserve mental well-being and prevent burnout. In a society that often treats weekends as extensions of the work week or opportunities to hustle for side income, the Amish approach stands out for its remarkable simplicity and effectiveness. Researchers who have looked into how rest days affect individuals find that people who consistently take time off for personal reflection, low-stress group activities, or spiritual pursuits frequently show reduced levels of anxiety and greater overall life satisfaction. Among Amish families, this day of rest is grounded in faith, yet produces tangible lifestyle benefits as well. The weekly pause curbs endless work cycles, encourages communal bonding, and helps preserve traditions. By refraining from routine chores like field plowing, major repairs, or business dealings, Amish households experience consistent mini-sabbaticals, effectively warding off burnout that can lead to high long-term healthcare costs or lost productivity. Children, too, come to understand that productivity doesn't necessitate constant busyness. Learning to pace oneself fosters emotional balance and greater attention to detail on working days. This rhythm ensures that, come Monday, everyone is rested, energized, and ready to engage wholeheartedly with the tasks ahead. While a single day free of commerce or labor might initially sound impractical to some modern ears, where economies run 24/7, Amish families highlight how structured downtime can ultimately boost focus and productivity during the rest of the week. For instance, those who rely on manual labor in fields or in small-scale manufacturing shops usually return on Monday with renewed motivation. At the same time, the day of rest stands as a regular chance to strengthen family ties, share meals, and participate in communal singing or studying together. These low-cost or no-cost forms of recreation help them keep life costs manageable. Since they place less emphasis on entertainment that requires expensive electronics or outings, they reduce unnecessary expenses. In essence, by dedicating consistent time to step away from daily demands, Amish communities achieve a balance that translates into better mental health, lower stress-related expenses, and a reaffirmation of core values that guide simpler and cheaper living. Number 2. Seasonal living and rotational tasks. Because many Amish families rely on farming or other land-based pursuits, their schedules and responsibilities align closely with the calendar year. This not only preserves a sense of harmony with the environment, but also leads to tangible financial benefits. During spring, families focus on planting crops, cleaning out barns, and preparing equipment. Summer months see intensive work in the fields, while autumn harvests bring an abundance of produce that can be canned, pickled, or stored in root cellars for winter months. This rotating cycle circumvents the high costs associated with buying fresh produce out of season or shipping goods from distant suppliers. By emphasizing local production, they cut down on transportation expenses and maintain a smaller environmental footprint. Studies on small-scale agricultural cycles demonstrate that farmers who utilize a seasonal approach consistently manage resources more effectively than those who attempt to grow produce year-round in artificially controlled environments. Keeping in step with natural rhythms also helps the Amish avoid the pitfalls of over-farming or depleting the land. Most employ crop rotation, alternating the cultivation of corn, soybeans, alfalfa, and other plants, so that the soil regenerates its nutrients without needing large amounts of synthetic fertilizer. This balanced approach can lead to long-term savings, because reliance on costly chemical inputs or complex irrigation systems remains minimal. Furthermore, seasonal living encourages efficient time allocation. When fieldwork slows in winter, families focus on handicrafts like quilting, carpentry, candle making, or basket weaving. These items not only supply daily needs, but often serve as sellable goods in local markets or to occasional outside visitors, providing additional income streams. The cultural norm of work with the seasons also helps regulate stress. During busy periods, communities rally together, sometimes hosting group harvest days where multiple families join forces to gather crops before inclement weather sets in. This synergy boosts productivity while cutting down on labor costs. When schedules ease, people invest their newfound time in repair work, planning for the next agricultural cycle, and dedicating attention to family and faith obligations. The consistent interplay of intense activity followed by lighter phases reduces the all-year pressure that can lead to burnout. Children grow up viewing each season as an opportunity for certain tasks, learning from an early age how to adapt skills based on changing conditions. This dynamic approach stands in contrast to the modern world's constant push toward uniform productivity and resource consumption throughout the year, helping Amish families stay grounded, remain cost-effective, and maintain a healthier relationship with the environment around them. Number 3, barter systems and localized commerce. In many Amish communities, relying heavily on local trade and barter helps keep money within the community while also minimizing the expenses commonly associated with broader consumer markets. For example, an Amish farmer might trade a supply of eggs or fresh dairy for a neighbor's carpentry services. These direct exchanges reduce the need for formal currency transactions and eliminate processing fees found in digital payments or credit card systems. Moreover, bartering often cements relationships. Ongoing trust between individuals leads to less complicated record-keeping and fewer disputes. While some Amish do use modern banking for larger transactions, such as purchasing land, these communities often remain more financially stable by retaining a local, trade-based economy for everyday essentials. Scholars studying decentralized and localized economic systems have noted that such practices can serve as a buffer against economic downturns. When national or global markets fluctuate, communities with vibrant internal trade networks can continue operating, largely insulated from the worst effects. This resilience stems from not being overly reliant on credit or complex supply chains. If one family experiences a difficult season due to unforeseen weather conditions or livestock illness, neighbors may step in with supplies or assistance, fully expecting the favor to be reciprocated in the future. It's a strong deterrent to crippling debt. This local commerce approach also facilitates knowledge exchange. When a neighbor helps repair a barn in return for produce, both parties get the chance to learn new techniques or glean insights about better building methods. Younger members witnessing these interactions absorb not just the skills, but also the ethic of reciprocal aid. On top of that, local commerce fosters a sense of pride in craftsmanship. Because bartered goods typically come from within the community, the emphasis is on quality and durability rather than mass-produced disposable items. These everyday transactions reinforce a cycle that is self-sustaining, cost-effective, and reliant on human connection. A stark contrast to the distant digital nature of many modern marketplaces, where personal relationships between buyer and seller are increasingly rare. Number 4, focus on manual skills and hands-on craftsmanship. While some might see the avoidance of certain technologies as a step backward, the Amish have discovered economic and practical advantages in developing their manual proficiencies. By honing sewing, quilting, woodworking, blacksmithing, and other artisan crafts, they reduce or eliminate the need to purchase factory-made commodities. Many Amish families can repair their own farm tools and household items, a skill that cuts both downtime and expenditures. When your clothes tear, you learn to mend them. When a wooden chair breaks, you know how to fix it rather than discarding it. In many modern contexts, outsourcing repairs or buying replacements is the default, leading to higher household expenses. Studies on self-repairing cultures show that communities with robust craftsmanship traditions produce significantly less waste and experience fewer recurring costs. For instance, a sturdy hand-built table, crafted from locally sourced wood, can last for generations with proper care. Meanwhile, mass-manufactured furniture often has a shorter lifespan, requiring repeated purchases. Over decades, these replacements accumulate considerable costs. In Amish life, investing time in craftsmanship also has intangible rewards, such as fostering creativity, teaching patience, and cultivating attention to detail. Children often learn skills by shadowing older relatives in workshops or during communal events where artisans display their craft. This hands-on education accelerates the learning curve, enabling them to contribute to the family's self-sufficiency. Additionally, the process of making something by hand often fosters a sense of pride and emotional connection, leading to more careful stewardship of belongings. Contrasting this with fast fashion or disposable consumer goods reveals one of the most direct ways the Amish way of life remains cheaper. Items are built or repaired to endure. When families can handle their own construction, tailoring, and mechanical fixes, they're less susceptible to price inflations or supply chain complications. Even in scenarios where certain parts might need to be purchased, an Amish craftsman typically adds significant value by assembling or improving the item themselves, further increasing its longevity. Over time, these manual skills become both a financial cushion and a cultural legacy that encourages new generations to continue the tradition of doing more with less and making each product last. Number 5. Minimizing waste through reuse and gleaning practices. The Amish approach to resource use hinges on the principle that nothing should be discarded if it can still serve a purpose. Gleaning, traditionally collecting leftover crops from fields after the main harvest, is an integral piece of that puzzle. But the concept of waste not, want not extends far beyond gleaning. In daily life, Amish families often transform leftover food scraps into compost for gardens or feed for animals, ensuring that nothing goes to waste unnecessarily. Old clothing might be cut into rags for cleaning or turned into patchwork quilts. Timber from a dismantled barn could be repurposed for building smaller structures or even for fueling wood stoves. Such reuse strategies keep expenses in check because they cut down on the frequency of purchasing new materials. Environmental economists emphasize that reducing waste at the household level can significantly curb the need for new products, thereby lowering both financial costs and environmental impact. By cherishing the value in every resource, Amish communities avoid the hidden expenses of landfill disposal fees, curb reliance on mass production, and foster a culture of creativity in solving everyday challenges. Gleaning itself, still practiced in various forms, demonstrates how farmland can be used efficiently without overexploiting the soil. Farmers might leave a portion of the field unharvested for neighbors who can collect the remainder to feed their families or livestock. This practice stands as a testament to communal cooperation, ensuring that even the final bits of the harvest serve a useful function. Over time, gleaning builds a resilient local food system that remains stable through economic uncertainties. Any surplus produce often makes its way into canning jars or community meals, reinforcing the idea that abundance, when shared responsibly, becomes a boon rather than a burden. Researchers investigating food waste in industrialized nations find that a large percentage of edible produce gets discarded due to cosmetic imperfections or overstocking. The Amish tendency to view food as precious, regardless of aesthetic flaws, bypasses this pitfall and saves money that more appearance-driven shoppers might waste on brand-new groceries. The result is a cycle of resourcefulness where gleaning and consistent reuse patterns keep life expenses lower and overall satisfaction higher. Number 6. Maintaining harmony and simple conflict resolution. Conflict inevitably arises in any community, but the Amish have a distinct approach that keeps legal fees and public drama at a minimum. Instead of rushing to file lawsuits or involve external authorities, disagreements are often resolved within the church or via mediators respected by both parties. This system doesn't only stem from religious values, it also creates tangible financial and emotional benefits. When issues are handled internally, people save on court costs, legal representation, and the ongoing stress of drawn-out disputes. Furthermore, the communal structure gives members an incentive to remain fair and conciliatory. In a small, tightly knit group, fractured relationships can affect daily life for everyone. Leaders, often elders or bishops, step in to guide discussions, encouraging open communication and apology where necessary. Their aim is restoration and reintegration, not punishment or public shaming. Sociologists familiar with communal conflict resolution have noted that settings where disputes are handled locally tend to develop stronger interpersonal bonds and a heightened sense of responsibility among members. Rather than simply paying a fine or serving a sentence, individuals learn the importance of cooperation and mutual respect. This approach helps Amish families avoid spiraling legal costs that can cripple finances, especially during family or business disagreements. Bypassing costly legal battles allows resources to be directed toward essential communal projects or personal needs, perpetuating a financially lean and emotionally supportive environment. By reinforcing the idea that mistakes can be mended through dialogue and accountability, they maintain a stable ecosystem that stands as an informal yet highly effective social contract. Over the long term, stable relationships translate to better mental well-being and fewer instances of alienation or unresolved grudges, both of which can manifest as hidden costs in mainstream society. Much like their approach to manual labor and bartering, conflict resolution in Amish life emphasizes human connection and duty, proving that by opting for compassion over contention, communities can save both money and emotional distress. Number 7. Rumspringa as a reflection point for lifelong commitment. While not every Amish community treats Rumspringa identically, it generally refers to a period during adolescence when young Amish individuals are given some freedom to explore life outside their community's constraints. Although this practice may seem at odds with the overall structure of Amish society, it actually serves as a critical step in forging resilient, lifelong members who make informed decisions about their commitments. Allowing teenagers a glimpse of mainstream culture, whether that includes driving a car, using more modern technology, or interacting with non-Amish peers, offers perspective. Many return, having realized the monetary, emotional, and social support benefits inherent in a simpler lifestyle. For families, this tradition eliminates the need to constantly monitor or enforce every rule during a time of natural rebellion. The knowledge that each young person must eventually choose to remain Amish or to depart fosters a more voluntary sense of responsibility. Once they opt back in, they do so with the understanding that frugality, communal living, and a deliberate approach to technology are now personal choices, not just inherited dictates. Data from interviews with former and practicing Amish individuals suggest that a significant portion of youth decide to stay, drawn by the community's stability, moral structure, and financial predictability. This is particularly notable in an era where many people outside the community grapple with student debt, job insecurity, or the feeling of isolation in large urban settings. By providing an organized framework for exploring alternatives, Amish communities effectively reinforce the value of their own traditions without relying on coercion. The teen who has witnessed the hectic nature of modern city life and the costs associated with rent, utilities, internet, and entertainment often gains a genuine appreciation for living within means, cooperation with neighbors, and direct engagement with tangible tasks. From a broader societal standpoint, Rumspringa stands out as a unique cultural mechanism that helps reduce midlife crises or abrupt changes of heart. Those who settle into Amish adult life typically do so with clear eyes, able to fully embrace the rules that make their existence easier, cheaper, and more in tune with communal standards. By channeling exploration into a defined time frame, the community helps its youth avoid many pitfalls of unfocused experimentation, which can lead to risky financial commitments or dangerous lifestyle decisions. The outcome is that young adults reintegrate with a renewed commitment, strengthening the local economy, traditions, and communal resilience. Altogether, these 7 life hacks, weekly rest, seasonal living, barter-based commerce, manual expertise, minimal waste, harmonious conflict resolution, and a reflective coming-of-age period demonstrate how Amish communities manage to minimize costs, reduce stress, and maintain a consistent sense of shared purpose. By integrating low-cost practices with strong interpersonal bonds, they forge a way of life that is both financially and emotionally sustainable. Adherence to these principles ensures that individuals operate within clear, time-honored frameworks that prioritize local resources, collective welfare, and a measured pace of innovation. Each rule emerges from a mix of religious conviction, practical wisdom, and mutual agreements, converging into a time-tested path that many outside observers regard as surprisingly relevant in an era of skyrocketing expenses and digital overload. Rather than chasing the latest gadget or being overwhelmed by endless upgrades, the Amish find contentment in communal synergy, deliberate choices, and proven routines that keep everyday life firmly anchored. As a result, these principles outline not only how life can be simpler and more affordable, but also reveal an undercurrent of shared human values, purpose, cooperation, and respect for one another that transcends cultural and technological differences.